Welcome to night school. You've just entered a place where curiosity helps you rest. Here, we mix learning with the calm of the night. Get ready for soothing stories and tranquil teachings. Let knowledge be your guide through a peaceful night.
Welcome to night school, where curiosity meets calm through softly narrated lessons in science, psychology, and history. If you enjoy peaceful learning and thoughtful explanations, please like and subscribe. Today, we explore the sound of silence, examining how the brain interprets quiet moments, why silence can feel both soothing and disturbing, and what happens when true silence envelops the mind. Check the description below for my favorite sleep supplement that supports relaxation and better rest. You can also find our AI automation community, where you can learn to completely automate videos like this one. I hope these resources are helpful and hope you enjoy the video. Now let's dive in and focus on what happens when all external noises drop away. The sudden absence of sound creates a shift in awareness. Attention turns inward as the mind registers the emptiness around it. This change can feel like a presence of silence itself, becoming almost tangible within the space of thought and perception. As sound disappears, sensory input quiets, and the brain adjusts to this altered environment. Silence prompts the mind to fill gaps with memory or subtle background noise. This mental activity can be gentle or restless, depending on the context and individual sensitivity to quiet moments. Within the absence of sound, thoughts may seem clearer or more pronounced. The brain begins sorting sensations differently. Without competing noises, perception focuses more sharply on internal states, such as breath, rhythm, or heartbeat, making silence a bridge to self-awareness. When silence arrives, it also highlights small, often ignored sounds. The faint ticking of a clock or distant rustle becomes noticeable. This contrast between stillness and subtle noise draws attention to the shifts in sensory experience, illustrating how silence is never entirely empty, but layered with quiet details. Across the brain, neural networks respond specifically to sound loss. Areas that process incoming noise slow their activity, while others related to focus and reflection engage more. This change fosters a state where the mind can rest lightly or engage in gentle contemplation. Depending on the situation and environment, the mind's reaction to silence can vary. Some experience calm and a sense of refuge, while others might find the quiet unsettling or empty. This difference arises from personal history with silence and the brain's usual level of sensory stimulation. Within quiet surroundings, neural pathways linked with alertness modify their signals. Instead of reacting to external sounds, the brain may turn inward, scanning thoughts or memories. This internal focus sometimes feels like a shift into a peaceful mental space because the brain is so tuned to sound input. Removing noise prompts it to seek patterns or create its own background activity. This internal generation of sound or thought can influence how silence is experienced, sometimes creating sensations like ringing or a faint hum. Immersed in silence, the mind slowly transitions from externally driven consciousness toward a more reflective state. This change can support deeper relaxation as attention settles away from distraction, allowing a lighter, quieter awareness to emerge naturally. Sometimes the absence of noise encourages deeper listening to one's own body. Breathing, muscle tension, or heartbeat become more prominent in perception. This shift offers an opportunity to connect with the present moment beyond typical sensory distractions. As the external world fades into quiet, subtle emotional responses may arise. Feelings tied to solitude or introspection come forward. The mind might find comfort in silence or confront unease that had been masked by constant sound. Focus on the stillness that forms when noise ceases. Instead of emptiness, silence can serve as a space where the mind reorganizes and refreshes itself. Repeated exposure to quiet moments can deepen tolerance and appreciation for this state. Neurons involved in attention recalibrate during silent periods. Without sound pulling focus outward, the brain can gently redirect resources toward internal monitoring. This process helps support mental rest and subtle shifts in awareness that interactions with silence often bring. Perceptual changes linked to silence extend beyond hearing alone. Visual and tactile senses may become more sensitive, compensating for the lack of auditory input. This rebalancing contributes to the unique quality of silence as a multidimensional experience. The mind's encounter with silence is shaped by context and expectation. In some cases, quiet moments foster creativity and insight. In others, they highlight discomfort or a craving for stimulation. Awareness of this dynamic helps to navigate silent spaces more comfortably. During silence, spontaneous thoughts can either flood or fade gradually. The absence of noise reduces external distractions, so internal dialogue may intensify briefly before settling. This natural rhythm influences how silence is perceived over time. Within quiet conditions, brain regions associated with memory and emotion may become more active. This activation can bring past experiences into sharper focus or allow emotional processing to take place quietly alongside stillness. Feelings related to safety or vulnerability sometimes surface in silence. The lack of external sound removes usual cues about the environment, prompting the brain to assess potential threats or comforts. This assessment shapes the emotional tone of the silent moment, As silence deepens, bodily sensations often emerge clearly in the mind. The gentle rise and fall of breath or subtle warmth under the skin can become central points of attention. These sensations anchor awareness in the present and encourage relaxation. A shift to minimal sensory input during silence allows the brain to slow habitual processing. This pause can initiate mental rest or brief renewal. The experience may vary among individuals, but often brings a break from usual sensory overload. In quiet moments, the brain may engage low-level background activity that supports restful states. This quiet neural hum differs from active thinking and helps maintain a balance between alertness and calmness in the absence of sound. Toward the end of silent periods, awareness usually becomes finer and lighter. The mind feels less burdened by constant input. This lightness prepares the way for deeper calm or transitions back into everyday sensory experience smoothly and gently. Now let's dive in. When silence suddenly takes over, the brain shifts its patterns of activity. Networks that usually process sounds pause, while other areas sharpen focus on internal signals. This sudden quiet often prompts heightened awareness of bodily sensations, thoughts, and feelings. Such shifts may bring a sense of calm or a subtle tension, revealing how deeply sound influences mental states. The absence of sound causes neurons in the auditory cortex to reduce their firing rates. Meanwhile, brain regions linked to memory and emotion become more active. This change nudges attention inward, revealing thoughts or feelings often missed amid noise. Silence acts like a backdrop, making internal experiences clearer, whether peaceful reflections or faint anxieties, depending on one's current mental state. Neural circuits dedicated to sensory processing adjust rapidly when sounds vanish. Signals from the ears drop sharply, prompting the brain to recalibrate focus elsewhere. As hearing inputs pause, subtle brainwaves emerge more strongly, creating a mental space for introspection. This quiet state may feel refreshing or unfamiliar, depending on how the mind handles the sudden lack of external auditory cues. Within moments of silence, the brain's activity patterns reconfigure. Networks responsible for filtering noise switch roles to monitor internal thoughts and body sensations. Heart rate and breathing rhythms become easier to notice. As external distractions fade, the mind might turn inward, noticing feelings or memories that often go unnoticed. This shift can invite relaxation or stir mild discomfort in some cases. Most of the day involves constant sound processing, so when silence arrives, the brain treats it as a signal to reorient. Awareness widens to include internal cues like breathing or muscle tension. This heightened internal focus sometimes triggers a surprising alertness or gentle calm, depending on personal state. The boundary between inner and outer experience blurs, offering subtle insights about moment-to-moment awareness. Sudden silence influences the balance between brain networks governing alertness and rest. Activity in regions managing external focus decreases, while introspective areas gain prominence. This realignment can encourage reflection or meditation. The silence acts less like emptiness and more like a signal prompting the brain to explore sensations usually overshadowed by louder surroundings, revealing a hidden layer of awareness. Hearing loss of external sound inputs increases the relative importance of internal signals. Subtle body sensations, such as heartbeat or blood flow, become more present in effective awareness. At the same time, thoughts come forward more clearly when the usual auditory environment fades. This change in sensory priority can either soothe the mind or provoke subtle restlessness based on individual patterns of attention. Activity in the brain's default mode network rises during silence. This system supports self-reflective thinking and mental imagery. With fewer distractions from outside, the brain shifts into a mode where personal memories and thoughts flow more freely. This state can feel settled or oddly intense, depending on the content of the mind and the listener's general mood at that time. During quiet moments, neurons linked with auditory processing lower their activity, while pathways associated with introspection light up. This switch highlights the brain's flexibility as it adapts to changing environments. The contrast between external noise and silence offers a unique opportunity to observe how perception deepens when sound is removed from the equation, revealing new layers of consciousness across sensory circuits. A lack of noise causes enhanced sensitivity inward. Heartbeats, breathing patterns, and muscle tension register more prominently. The mind often notices feelings and thoughts usually drowned out by everyday clamor. In some cases, this phenomenon can elevate calmness, while in others, it may stir a subtle unease. Both responses illustrate the brain's complex relationship with silence and stimulus. As silence extends, the brain's auditory centers maintain reduced stimulation. Other regions linked with emotional processing and memory retrieval increase activity. This subtle shift permits a mental space where quiet reflection and processing take place. Sensory quietness enables thoughts to surface without interruption, allowing the mind to evaluate and engage with internal experiences more deeply than usual. The brain's rhythmic patterns evolve during silence, showing slower, more stable neural oscillations. These changes support a state of restfulness and inward focus. Instead of reacting to sounds, the mind settles into monitoring itself. This transition offers a chance for mental reset by prioritizing internal awareness over external distractions, offering a different quality of attention shaped by auditory absence. Brief moments without noise impact how the brain processes time. Without auditory cues marking sequences, perception of passing moments becomes more subjective. The mind may linger on particular thoughts or sensations, taking time to explore inner landscapes. This altered timing experience highlights how sensory environments guide consciousness and reveals the brain's adaptability under quieter conditions. Silence shifts focus from the external world to subtle internal signals. Body awareness increases as breathing, heartbeat, and muscle sensations become easier to detect. This inward reorientation can help anchor attention in the present, offering a grounded experience that can either soothe or prompt thoughtful examination of mental states without outside interruption. When external sounds are removed, the brain intensifies scanning for other stimuli. Internal noises, like thoughts or body reactions, gain in prominence. This enhanced detection may calm the nervous system or lead to heightened alertness based on context. Silence, thus, acts not just as the absence of sound, but as an active environment where the mind adapts and responds to shifting sensory inputs. Neurons in the limbic system show increased engagement during quiet intervals. These areas process feelings related to safety and threat. With no sounds to monitor, the brain may revisit emotional memories or bodily sensations, depending on previous experiences. This can result in tranquility or slight discomfort, demonstrating how silence interacts with emotional processing on a subtle level. Attention circuits modulate their activity in response to silence. Networks responsible for focusing externally reduce activity, while systems that support inward concentration increase output. This dynamic creates mental space, allowing introspection to flourish. Such moments of silence can become an opportunity for the brain to recalibrate priorities, tuning in to internal signals that often remain overshadowed in noisy settings. Lack of background sound alters communication between brain regions. Certain areas synchronize differently, enhancing connectivity linked to thought and emotion. This rewiring supports a shift toward mental states centered on reflection or awareness of bodily processes. The brain's response to silence demonstrates its remarkable ability to reorganize functional networks to suit environmental changes. Quiet experiences expand the brain's capacity for noticing subtle details. Without competing noises, slight changes in mood or bodily sensation become more accessible to awareness. This sharpening of perception reveals inner workings that usually pass unnoticed amid constant external input. highlighting the brain's sensitivity to shifts in sensory conditions and the value of silent moments. During silence, the balance of brain chemicals shifts modestly. Neurotransmitters that encourage relaxation increase, while those linked to alertness decrease. This chemical adjustment supports a gentler mental state, preparing the brain for restorative processes. Such neurochemical changes emphasize the biological underpinnings that connect environmental silence to states of calm and contemplation. The brain's response to absent sound also influences how the body feels tension. Without external distractions, muscle tightness or weakness can become more obvious. This increased bodily awareness prompts subtle adjustments in posture or breathing. Such feedback loops between brain and body contribute to variations in comfort and relaxation experienced in quiet environments. During moments devoid of noise, the mind can turn toward spontaneous thought patterns. Daydreams or memories flow more freely when competing sounds pause. This spontaneous cognition may bring insight or allow problem solving without active effort. Silence thus provides a unique stage where the brain's background activity becomes more noticeable and capable of supporting creative pauses. Neural shifts during quiet intervals help regulate arousal levels. Without sensory overload, the mind finds a chance to reduce stress signals. Lowered external input promotes restfulness and mental clarity. These changes are essential in balancing wakefulness and sleep readiness, showing how silence participates actively in mental states linked with recovery and peacefulness. Increasing quietness creates an environment where habitual thought patterns soften. The brain's usual rapid reactions to external sounds slow down, allowing space for slower, more deliberate mental activity. This calm mental rhythm supports introspection and rest, laying groundwork for deeper relaxation phases. The absence of noise becomes a foundation for steady mental pacing that nurtures calm awareness. The sensation of peace linked to silence begins as sensory signals grow scarce. The brain receives less external information, which reduces its activity in processing noise and distractions. When fewer stimuli demand attention, the mind experiences a kind of spaciousness. This clearing of unnecessary input gently eases mental workload and prepares the body to calm down naturally. Calming effects also arise as the body reduces production of stress-related chemicals. Hormones like cortisol decline when silence prevails, allowing muscles to relax and tension to fade. Breathing often slows subtly during quiet moments, prompting the heart rate to ease along. These interconnected changes support a tranquil internal environment where the body can rest more deeply and quietly. Now let's dive in. Reduced sensory input lowers the brain's overall alertness, signaling the nervous system that danger is less likely. This shift encourages a state of relaxation rather than readiness for action. As the body perceives fewer demands, energy once devoted to vigilance can be diverted towards maintenance and healing processes that promote well-being over time. When auditory stimuli disappear, the brain adjusts its focus inward. The absence of external noise causes neurons in hearing regions to fire less frequently, which can lead to a feeling of mental stillness. This slowdown may help the brain conserve resources, channeling attention to calming thoughts, or even entering early stages of restfulness that set the foundation for deeper relaxation. During quiet periods, breathing patterns change in subtle ways. Instead of rapid breaths linked to stress, the rhythm often becomes slower and more regular. This shift can influence the autonomic nervous system, which governs unconscious functions like heart rate and digestion. As breathing steadies, the heart naturally reduces its pace, supporting overall calmness and reducing strain on the cardiovascular system. More than just an external experience, silence affects brain chemistry directly. Neurotransmitters involved in relaxation, such as gamma-aminobutyric acid, may increase their activity when external noise diminishes. These chemical changes encourage neurons to become less excitable, helping to quell anxiety and foster a sense of security. This internal balance supports soothing states that feel peaceful and restorative. Psychological responses to silence vary, but many people report feeling safer in quiet environments. This response can be traced to early survival mechanisms where reduced noise signaled fewer threats. Today, quiet moments trigger the same calming effect, even when no immediate danger is present. The brain interprets silence as a sign to relax rather than prepare for action, reducing tension naturally. Within the brain, connections between sensory regions and emotional centers play a role as silence unfolds. The amygdala, known for processing fear and anxiety, receives less input from noisy surroundings. Reduced stimulation here contributes to lowered emotional arousal, allowing for clearer thought and diminished stress. This pathway helps explain why quiet spaces can feel emotionally safe and less overwhelming. The impact of silence extends beyond the mind to include bodily sensations. Muscles tend to soften as the nervous system eases tension signals. Joint stiffness decreases with less stress hormones circulating. These physical shifts reinforce comfort, sending feedback to the brain, confirming the environment as restful. The body's response loops back, deepening calm gradually in a reinforcing pattern throughout quiet moments. Even the heart shows measurable reactions when silence sets in. Studies demonstrate that during quiet phases, heart rate variability increases, a sign of better cardiovascular flexibility and stress resilience. Such changes indicate a shift towards parasympathetic nervous system dominance, which governs rest and digestion. The heart supports relaxation not only by slowing down, but by adapting rhythm to fit restful states securely. Visual surroundings often influence how silence is perceived. Minimalist spaces, lacking in clutter or distractions, can enhance the calming effect by reducing visual noise. This decrease in visual stimuli works in tandem with the auditory quiet to keep the brain's processing load light. Together, these sensory reductions cultivate a peaceful atmosphere where the mind can settle easily, free from competing demands. Sleep studies suggest that silence helps trigger the body's transition toward rest. As external sounds diminish, brain waves shift toward patterns linked with light sleep stages. This shift is connected to decreased beta wave activity associated with alertness. The result allows the mind to unwind progressively, signaling to the body that it may begin letting go of wakeful tension and preparing for deeper rest. Some individuals find silence unsettling due to heightened awareness of internal sounds or thoughts. In such cases, the contrast with ambient noise draws attention inward more sharply. This increased focus may temporarily raise stress or anxiety levels. Understanding these reactions allows one to approach silence gradually, helping the mind to become comfortable with stillness and eventually benefiting from its calming influence. Over time, regularly spending time in quiet environments trains the brain to respond more easily to peaceful signals. Neural pathways adapt, strengthening the connection between silence and relaxation. This habituation reduces the effort needed to calm down when stress arises. The brain's increasing efficiency in recognizing quiet as safe creates a foundation for emotional resilience and improved mental health in day-to-day life. The rhythm of heartbeats during silence reflects more than just slower speed. Variability in timing between beats indicates a dynamic, responsive system. Such flexibility allows the body to adjust smoothly between states of action and rest. Increased heart rate variability during quiet signals better autonomic balance. This quality supports a stable physiology that can recover well from stress and maintain internal harmony. Silent moments promote stronger regulation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which controls stress hormones. By calming this system, the body reduces cortisol levels. This reduction diminishes inflammatory responses linked to chronic stress. As a result, the body creates physical conditions favorable to healing and peace. The quiet environment indirectly supports healthier immune and metabolic functions through this calming effect on hormone regulation. Neural networks involved in default mode activity become more active in the absence of noise. This state engages brain regions that manage introspection, memory, and planning. Quiet allows these networks to function without interference, supporting thoughtful reflection or restful mind wandering. Such cognitive activity may contribute to feelings of peacefulness by creating mental space for subtle, low-energy processes to unfold naturally. The absence of sound affects sensory gating, a process filtering incoming stimuli. Reduced auditory input lowers the brain's threshold for detecting irrelevant noises. This filtering sharpens focus on internal sensations and decreases distraction. Over time, sensory gating adjustments contribute to deeper mental quiet, where attention stabilizes. The brain's enhanced filtering ability supports relaxation by preventing unnecessary alerts from breaking concentration. Small changes in pupil dilation occur during silent intervals as the nervous system calms. Reduced light intake mirrors decreases in arousal, minimizing sensory load. These pupillary adjustments reflect the body's overall shift toward restorative functions. By limiting external stimulation, the eyes support the mind's transition into calm states. This subtle physiological response complements the broader effects of silence on body and brain. As muscles ease with lower stress hormones, the body may enter a mild state of physical ease. This relaxation often appears as slower reactions or a softer posture. Maintaining such a state conserves energy that would otherwise fuel tension or alertness. Gentle relaxation in the muscles signals to the nervous system that rest is appropriate, helping the entire organism settle into peaceful rhythms. Quiet settings also influence breathing beyond rate, altering the balance between inhales and exhales. Longer exhalations occur more frequently, helping stimulate the vagus nerve. Activation of this nerve lowers heart rate and encourages calm feelings. This mechanism supports the parasympathetic nervous system's role in promoting rest. Coordinated breathing patterns during silence aid the body's natural relaxation processes. In some cases, silence encourages mental clarity by reducing the brain's need to divide attention. With fewer distractions, cognitive resources focus better on simple tasks or internal states. This clarity can improve problem solving or creative thinking during quiet moments. The quiet environment may act as a reset button, allowing the mind to organize thoughts more effectively and prepare for new challenges calmly. Quiet environments often coincide with less visual and tactile stimulation. Together, these reduced cues support a sensory balance conducive to rest. The brain receives fewer competing signals, which decreases processing demands. This lowered input sets conditions favorable for the nervous system to switch from active engagement to relaxation and recovery modes, enhancing overall well-being gradually as silence continues. Silence's role in peacefulness arises from a chain reaction across body systems. Reduced noise diminishes sensory influx, causing slower breathing, relaxed muscles, and lowered heart rates. Hormonal shifts further ease tension and promote healing processes. These cumulative responses build a calm environment within the mind and body, allowing restful states to take hold naturally when external sounds retreat. Sometimes quiet moments trigger discomfort when the mind begins to notice the absence of sound. In these intervals, the brain actively searches for meaning, filling spaces with imagined noises or whispers. This habit, a form of mental activity, can bring sensations of loneliness or an unexpected alertness as silence shifts from calm to unsettling. Within silent surroundings, when external noise disappears, internal thoughts often become louder. The brain reacts by creating phantom sounds or echoes, producing a sensation similar to distant murmurs or faint footsteps. Such neurological responses cause heightened awareness, prompting feelings that something unseen might be present in the emptiness around us. Now let's dive into how the absence of sound can trigger subtle anxiety. When silence persists, the brain tends to search actively for stimuli to process. In this state, it often invents sounds or thoughts that seem out of place. These mental projections can cause a sense of discomfort or unease, making quiet moments feel surprisingly intense. At times, silence amplifies the mind's inner chatter, bringing unsettling ideas to the forefront. The lack of external noise removes distractions, allowing worries or memories to emerge more vividly. As a result, quiet spaces can feel heavy with unresolved thoughts, nudging the mind toward feelings of restlessness or isolation, even when physically alone. During these stretches of quiet, the brain's auditory centers may stimulate imagined sounds. These phantom noises mimic footsteps, whispers, or rustling, influenced by the environment's mood and the mind's current state. Such reactions are common and tied to the brain's constant need to interpret sensory inputs, especially when no actual sound is present. Shifts in lighting or subtle changes in the surroundings can intensify the perception of silence as eerie. Shadows and dimness alter how the brain processes space and sound absence, sometimes triggering caution or alertness. These physical cues intermingle with mental activity, heightening sensations linked to the invisible world in a quiet place. Between moments of silence, the feeling of being alone may emerge stronger. This solitude invites thoughts about presence and absence, echoing deep evolutionary responses. The brain, adapted to seek social and environmental cues, may interpret prolonged quiet as a sign of isolation, which can prompt protective emotional reactions such as anxiety or alertness to possible threats. When the mind encounters prolonged silence, default networks become more active. These networks engage in self-referential thinking and memory processing. That activity fills empty spaces with inner dialogue or rehearsed fears. The resulting mental noise contrasts sharply with external quiet, making silence feel amplified and sometimes more intense than the loudest sound. The brain's anticipation of sound also influences discomfort in silence. When expecting noise, the absence can produce a mismatch that feels unsettling. This mismatch triggers alert systems designed to detect changes and potential dangers. Thus, silence becomes a space charged with latent tension as the mind monitors for unexpected auditory cues. During moments when silence seems to stretch endlessly, perception itself can shift. Time may feel slower or distorted as the usual markers of sound that guide awareness fade. This stretching can create a sensation of vulnerability, where the mind becomes more sensitive to minimal stimuli, increasing the sense that silence carries an unseen weight or presence. Memory and imagination often influence how silence is experienced. Past events linked to quietness may trigger subconscious feelings of discomfort or fear. The brain accesses these stored experiences, coloring current perception. This connection between memory and present silence can provoke emotional reactions even when the surroundings are perfectly safe and still. When silence lasts beyond a usual pause, the brain may engage in predictive activity, imagining sounds that could happen. This anticipation leads to hearing noises that are not present, often creating a haunting or eerie environment inside the mind. This phenomenon illustrates how expectation shapes auditory perception, even in completely quiet conditions. Evoked anxiety linked to silent environments can vary depending on personal sensitivity and context. Some individuals process quiet differently, finding relief in calm, while others perceive threat or discomfort. The brain's interpretation of silence is shaped by both biology and experience, underscoring the subjective nature of how sound absence impacts emotional states and mental focus. Within a space devoid of sound, the subtle buzz of the nervous system becomes more noticeable. Heartbeats, breathing rhythms, or muscle twitches can occupy attention usually reserved for external noise. This inward notice heightens self-awareness, which in certain contexts may lead to feelings of unease or increase the sensation that silence is filled with unspoken tension. Filters in the brain designed to suppress irrelevant input slow down during deep quiet. This reduction causes even the faintest internal noises or thoughts to rise to attention. The contrast between silence outside and mental activity inside can create a complex experience where calm is interrupted by imagined or remembered sounds that alter perception and emotional balance. Unexpected silence often invites the mind's creative side to fill gaps with narratives. Stories or scenarios emerge spontaneously, sometimes involving imagined risks or unseen presences. These mental constructions partly explain why silence may provoke unease, as the brain attempts to make sense of missing information by generating explanations from memory or imagination. Presence of others nearby does not always diminish the impact of silence. In certain settings, quiet can highlight social distance or emotional separation. Even with company, the lack of sound may emphasize solitude or tension, enhancing feelings of discomfort. These dynamics show how silence interacts not only with personal thoughts, but also with social and emotional contexts. Fluctuations in breathing during silence modify how the body senses space. Deep or irregular breaths affect internal states of calm or alertness. The body's subtle movements become more evident against quiet backdrops, influencing mood and the brain's appraisal of security. These physiological details contribute to why silence might feel unexpectedly intense or uneasy. The mind's tendency to assign meaning to silence emerges from evolutionary needs. Detecting threats in quiet surroundings once had survival value. This inherited response remains active, sometimes causing disproportionate reactions to harmless environments. Thus, silence can activate protective mechanisms in the brain, stirring anticipation or worry despite the absence of real danger. Sensory deprivation caused by silence does not mean an absence of mental activity. Instead, the quiet space often becomes a stage for cognitive processes that include rehearsal of fears, memories, or plans. These internal narratives can shift the experience from peacefulness to tension, demonstrating the brain's complexity even in the simplest conditions of soundlessness. Repeated exposure to silence varies the mind's responses over time. With practice, some brains learn to tolerate or appreciate the absence of sound, reducing feelings of discomfort, yet others remain sensitive, consistently filling quiet with imagined noise or thoughts. These differences highlight the adaptive and personal nature of how silence affects mental states. Silent spaces influence sleep and relaxation differently depending on individual perception. For some, quiet facilitates deep rest, while for others it might heighten restlessness or cause intrusive thoughts. The brain's activity in silence can either slow or shift into states of vigilance, affecting the overall quality of relaxation and the ability to let go into stillness. The sensation of silence causing tension often arises when the mind is unsettled or distracted. In such moments, stillness contrasts sharply with active thoughts or worries. The brain's reactive patterns may increase awareness of subtle sensations or imagined disturbances, making otherwise quiet settings feel charged with nervous energy or hidden stimuli. Finally, the interpretation of silence is deeply personal and constantly changing. What one moment feels empty or threatening can shift when attention moves elsewhere or thoughts settle. Understanding these mental processes offers insight into how silence influences mood and cognition, revealing how quietness interacts with the mind in complex, variable ways. In silent moments, the mind's quietness heightens awareness of inner voices. Memories flicker more clearly and hidden thoughts emerge, filling the still space. The brain acts as a canvas where echoes of past experiences and unspoken worries take shape. These internal reflections become vivid when sound fades, creating a unique mental landscape within silence's embrace. Within isolation from external noise, creative ideas often surface without distraction. Mental echoes bounce gently against the quiet, encouraging spontaneous connections between thoughts. Silence provides a rare clarity, allowing the mind to wander freely among deep reflections and fresh insights. Such moments can foster innovation through contemplation, as thoughts gain strength in the absence of external clamor. Now let's dive in to understand how silent settings influence the mind's internal activity. The absence of external sounds lets subtle mental patterns come forward. Thoughts, emotions, and memories interact more openly, making silence a fertile ground for mental associations. This deepened introspection highlights how quiet influences the mind's ongoing dialogue with itself and reveals hidden layers of consciousness. Throughout silent intervals, brief memories emerge like sparks in darkness. Past moments replay with greater intensity as background distractions vanish. The brain sharpens its focus inward, amplifying sensations and feelings tied to those recollections. These reverberations within the mind can be comforting or challenging, shaping how silence is perceived emotionally and cognitively over time. When stillness surrounds, worries can silently recirculate within mental space. These repeated thoughts grow more noticeable as nothing outside competes for attention. However, this heightened awareness also offers an opportunity to observe anxieties from a distance. Without sensory interruptions, the mind gains a clearer perspective on persistent concerns, allowing subtle shifts in emotional responses to arise over time. Between thoughts and silence, the brain creates a subtle resonance, a hum of mental activity. This internal vibration acts like an echo chamber where ideas and feelings overlap. The quiet amplifies these internal signals, encouraging reflection and sometimes creative synthesis. The mind uses this space to sort and arrange abstract thoughts in a way that is rarely possible in noisier environments. Across neural networks, silence shifts brain activity toward introspective modes. Regions involved in memory retrieval and imagination become more active. As external stimuli drop away, internal processes take center stage. This shift lets individuals build elaborate inner narratives, testing scenarios, or recounting experiences with fresh detail. Silence enhances these mental rehearsals, deepening self-awareness and emotional processing within quiet conditions. Inside empty rooms or calm environments, the mind's echoes can feel like a presence. The awareness of one's own thoughts intensifies, almost as if the silence is listening. This paradoxical effect results from the brain tuning into itself, sharpening sensitivity to inner voices. Such moments provide a rare chance to explore personal feelings that often go unnoticed amid daily noise. While the body rests, the brain's internal chatter often increases in silence. This mental activity includes a mix of random thoughts and purposeful reflections. Without distractions, the mind can cycle through unresolved questions or future plans more thoroughly. These thought patterns sometimes appear as subtle echoes that gently ripple through consciousness, linking past experiences with present emotions. Because silence strips away external stimuli, the mind's background noise becomes prominent. This internal soundscape consists of fleeting images, half-formed words, and sudden insights. Each mental echo contributes to a layered experience of quiet that can be soothing or unsettling. This dynamic explains why silence affects individuals differently depending on their current mental state and focus. In contrast to noisy environments, silent spaces enable more deliberate thought processing. The brain slows external information intake, freeing resources to analyze internal content. As a result, deeper emotional material may surface when distractions fall away. This cleansing effect often leads to insights or emotional releases that remain hidden amid constant sensory input throughout the day. During silent moments, the mind often revisits unresolved memories. These thoughts linger in mental space, circling like small waves in a quiet bay. Without interruption, the brain processes these residual feelings, sometimes revealing patterns or forgotten details. This natural sorting helps integrate experiences more fully, contributing to emotional balance and a better understanding of oneself over time. Among reflections in silence, creative sparks emerge unpredictably. Ideas that seemed distant gain clarity and shape. The mind experiments with problem solving or artistic thoughts without pressure. This unhindered wandering through mental landscapes gives birth to new perspectives. Silence becomes a laboratory for mental exploration, where innovation unfolds quietly and without external judgment or haste. With repeated exposure to quiet, individuals may notice subtle shifts in how thoughts present themselves. Mind chatter can become less chaotic and more focused. During these phases, mental clarity sharpens and imagination stretches further. This gradual adjustment reveals silence not simply as absence, but as a space where cognitive functions recalibrate and mental energy redistributes in useful ways. Neural echoes of emotional memories sometimes feel stronger in quiet moments. Emotions linked to past events may rise to the surface more easily. This phenomenon reflects the brain's tendency to amplify inner signals when external noise diminishes. Recognizing this pattern can improve emotional awareness by highlighting connections between sensory silence and mental states tied to personal history. Inside deep quiet, spontaneous mental conversations often arise. These internal dialogues involve reflecting on past choices or imagining future possibilities. The mind rehearses outcomes or clarifies intentions in the absence of outside distractions. These conversations serve as a tool to refine thought processes and can lead to greater psychological insight and better decision-making over time. During silence, the brain's default mode network activates more fully. This system manages self-referential thoughts and daydreaming. Its heightened activity explains why inward reflection feels more vivid when external inputs fade. This default mode contributes to the sense that the mind is echoing with its own content. As memories and fantasies intermingle freely within peaceful silence, within silent spaces, temporal perception often shifts. Moments may stretch or compress depending on mental engagement. Heightened focus on internal thoughts changes how time feels. Sometimes, long periods pass unnoticed when immersed in reflection. This altered time awareness affects how the mind experiences and processes its own echoes, adding a unique dimension to quiet contemplation. As the mind tunes into silence, some thoughts become louder than usual. These mental echoes can highlight personal concerns or unresolved issues. Without external noise to distract attention, the mind confronts these topics directly. This increased clarity may initially provoke discomfort, but it also provides an opportunity for confrontation and eventual resolution of persistent mental content. Silent environments encourage the mind to replay conversations or events in detail. Repetition of such mental scenes can reveal new insights or shifts in perspective. This mental replay acts like a quiet rehearsal space where emotions and ideas receive focused attention. Over time, this process deepens understanding of complex experiences and offers ways to approach difficult memories. Throughout silence, the mind balances between calming and activating influences. While some mental echoes bring relaxation, others can increase alertness or emotional intensity. This dynamic interplay shapes how silence impacts mood and thought patterns. The brain's flexibility in quiet moments supports adaptation to both restful and stimulating internal states. Depending on individual temperament and current situations, when the mind settles into silence, abstract and concrete thoughts intermingle freely. Ideas may blend with sensory memories or logical sequences. This mixing enriches mental activity and encourages creative synthesis. The quiet becomes a mental workshop where disparate elements combine to produce new concepts or solutions without pressure or distraction from the outside world. In peaceful stillness, mental echoes sometimes take the form of vivid imagery. Scenes from memory or imagination appear with clarity and detail. These images occupy the mind's visual space, often accompanied by subtle feelings or sensations. The interplay between silence and mental pictures enhances immersive reflection, engaging multiple brain areas involved in memory and emotion simultaneously. Silence offers a backdrop that transforms fleeting thoughts into sustained reflections. Moments of quiet allow the mind to linger on ideas or feelings longer than usual. This extension supports deeper processing and integration of mental content. Over time, silence shapes the mind's ability to hold and refine complex thoughts, turning transient echoes into meaningful understanding. Now let's dive in. Meditation offers a way to cultivate silence within the mind. By sitting quietly and focusing attention, the brain gradually reduces external distractions. This practice allows a natural decrease in mental chatter. During these moments, the experience of silence becomes accessible, inviting a deeper connection to the present moment and increasing awareness of subtle mental processes. Inside the brain, meditative states bring changes to activity patterns. Regions associated with focus and emotion begin to coordinate differently. Neural rhythms slow and synchronize. This shift supports a calm mental environment where thoughts become less fragmented. The brain reorganizes its responses to stimuli, dampening impulsive reactions and enhancing the ability to sustain quiet reflection without interruption. Mindfulness meditation encourages simple observation without judgment. Attention rests gently on breathing or bodily sensations. As awareness settles, judgmental thoughts lose their strength. This helps build a mental space where silence feels less like emptiness and more like openness. Over time, the brain strengthens pathways that favor peace and clarity, promoting a steady focus on the current experience rather than distractions. The nervous system responds alongside the brain during meditation. Heart rate slows and breathing deepens. These physical changes mirror the mental calm developing internally. Parasympathetic activity increases, promoting relaxation throughout the body. As tension fades, the presence of silence intensifies, often creating a sensation of stillness that feels both restful and alert simultaneously. Within the quiet created by meditation, awareness shifts toward subtle sensory input. Sounds become softer and more refined, while external noise diminishes in importance. The mind's focus on internal states heightens sensitivity to sensations usually overlooked. Awareness moves away from busy thoughts and toward a clear, undisturbed mental space where presence is fully centered and distractions lose their hold. Meditative silence also affects brain connectivity. Networks involved in self-reflection and mind wandering reduce their activity. This decrease helps prevent the mind from drifting toward worries or planning. Instead, attention stabilizes on the present moment. This alteration in brain function explains why meditators often feel a deep sense of mental clarity and effortless focus within silent states. During meditation, the default mode network, a brain system linked to inward thought, quiets down. This reduction lessens habitual mental loops, allowing fresh perspectives to emerge. The brain shifts from reactive patterns to a calmer mode. As a result, thoughts become less compulsive, and silence is experienced not as emptiness, but as a space supporting mental balance and insight into oneself. Practicing silence through meditation trains the brain's attentional systems. Focus improves as the mind learns to hold steady on a chosen object, such as the breath. This training strengthens regions responsible for executive control, helping reduce distractibility. The result is an enhanced ability to remain calm and centered in daily life, even amid external noise or stressful situations. The experience of silence during meditation is not just the absence of sound. It is a dynamic state where the brain processes minimal sensory input while remaining highly alert. This state fosters a balance between relaxation and wakefulness. The mind rests without losing clarity, allowing thoughts to come and go without attachment, deepening the peaceful quality of quiet awareness. Regular meditation sessions produce lasting changes in brain structure. Areas involved in attention and emotional regulation increase in size and connectivity. These physical adaptations support sustained periods of mental calm and resilience over weeks and months. Meditation reshapes the brain in ways that make silence more accessible and beneficial, reinforcing habits that invite stillness and mental clarity into everyday experience. As meditation progresses, practitioners often notice shifts in their perception of silence. Moments that once felt empty can become rich with subtle nuance. The brain adapts to recognize stillness as a positive state rather than discomfort. This shift encourages deeper immersion in quiet practice and reduces resistance commonly experienced when facing silence without distraction. Silence cultivated in meditation differs from ordinary quiet found in the environment. It arises internally from focused attention and mental discipline. This form of silence supports a growing awareness of how thoughts and feelings arise and fade. Insight deepens as silence becomes a container for observing mental activity without interference or reaction, allowing a clearer understanding of inner workings. The calming effect of meditation on the brain extends to sensory processing. As internal noise decreases, external noises feel less jarring. Sensory input is filtered more smoothly, creating a sense of ease. The brain no longer reacts automatically to every stimulus. Instead, there is a measured response that contributes to a steady sense of quiet, both inside and out. Focus during meditation anchors the mind and nurtures silence by reducing multitasking inside the brain. Concentrating on a single point lessens mental fragmentation. This coherence enhances the experience of peace. Cognitive resources are allocated efficiently, permitting sustained attention. The reduction of competing thoughts creates room for freshness and openness within the mental space cultivated by silence. Through meditation, the brain's capacity for self-regulation improves. Regions that manage emotional responses become better coordinated. This leads to reduced stress and increased tolerance for discomfort. Silence acts as a backdrop for this regulation, providing the mental calm necessary to notice reactions without immediate engagement. The result is better control over impulses and a calmer baseline state of mind. Because meditation reduces sympathetic nervous system activity, the body experiences fewer stress-related effects. Blood pressure lowers and muscle tension fades. These physiological changes reinforce the brain's relaxed condition. When the body settles into this calm state, silence deepens further. The mind and body together cultivate a quiet environment that supports restful clarity. Meditative silence is also linked to increased production of gamma brain waves. These waves enhance information processing and perception. Elevated gamma activity supports integration of sensory and cognitive functions, offering sharper mental clarity. This heightened brain activity coexists with relaxation, showing that silence in meditation is a focused yet peaceful state, not simply absence or stillness. The practice of meditation can influence the chemistry of the brain. Neurotransmitters like serotonin increase, which promotes feelings of well-being and calm. Reduced cortisol levels help lessen anxiety. These shifts in brain chemistry contribute to a more balanced mood and support the sustained presence experienced in meditative silence, making quiet moments feel restorative and clear. In meditative silence, there is space for observing thoughts without attachment. This detachment reduces rumination. The brain develops a healthier relationship with its own activity. Mental processes become less intense and overwhelming. With practice, silence becomes a tool for managing emotional states, encouraging moments of peace even during daily challenges, offering a refuge from constant mental noise. Meditation cultivates an inner silence that allows the brain to shift from constant evaluation to simple presence. This change reduces the need for constant mental commentary and analysis. Awareness settles into observing rather than reacting. Over time, the brain adapts to sustain this quieter mode, which builds mental clarity and lessens the habitual distractions that interfere with calm thinking. Sustained periods of silent meditation enhance connectivity between brain areas responsible for attention and emotional balance. This improved coordination supports flexible thinking and resilience to stress. The brain can switch from busy mental states to calm focus more easily. Strengthened connections contribute to the experience of peace by stabilizing mental activity and encouraging a steady state of mindful awareness. During deep meditation, bodily awareness expands. Sensations in muscles, joints, and skin become clearer and more distinct. This heightened body awareness supports a grounded sense of self. It also complements mental stillness, helping anchor consciousness firmly in the present. The combination of physical and mental quiet creates a unified experience of silence that feels complete and balanced. Meditation trains the brain to notice when attention wanders and gently returns it to the present focus. This repeated redirection strengthens self-control mechanisms. As a result, mental distractions decrease and periods of silence extend. The brain learns to maintain steadiness without strain. This skill enhances the quality of quiet moments and deepens the calming effects of meditation practice overall. Silence in meditation becomes more accessible with repetition and patience. The brain learns to enter quiet states more easily and sustain them longer. This quiet mind state supports better decision-making and emotional stability. Over time, the ability to rest in silence improves overall well-being, creating a calm mental landscape that carries into waking life while reducing clutter and noise. Now let's dive into how silence affects the brain in different ways. Ambient silence is the background quiet of a room or space. It is never truly empty, but filled with soft, steady noises like distant traffic or the hum of electronics. The brain processes these low sounds without much effort, keeping awareness lightly engaged while maintaining calm. Social silence happens when people stop talking, creating a pause that may feel comfortable or tense. During these moments, brain networks scan for meaning, expecting conversation to continue. This type of silence can increase alertness or reflection depending on context, as the mind adjusts to interpret the absence of sound amid human interaction. It heightens sensitivity to subtle cues. Absolute silence is the absence of sound as close as possible. This rare environment limits sensory input significantly. In this state, the brain shifts focus inward, increasing awareness of bodily sensations and thoughts. Neural activity changes, reducing processing of external stimuli while deepening introspection. The experience of true quiet can reveal how dependent the mind is on surrounding noise to maintain balance. Within ambient silence, the brain filters out minor noises automatically, tuning attention away from sounds like the rustling of leaves or distant footsteps. This automatic filtering allows the mind to relax without discomfort. The baseline sound environment offers a physical constant that keeps the brain's sensing systems stable, avoiding sudden changes that might trigger stress responses or heightened awareness. When social silence occurs, the brain's mirror neurons may activate, searching for emotional signals usually transmitted through speech or tone. Without these cues, some people experience unease, while others find space for thought. This type of silence tunes the brain to social context, evaluating factors like facial expression or body language to fill the gap left by absent words during conversations. Creating absolute silence often demands special environments like soundproof rooms or isolated natural settings. In such quiet places, absence of sound leads the brain to increase sensitivity to internal signals like heartbeat or breath. This shift can enhance mindfulness or cause distraction for some, depending on prior experience and psychological state. The brain adapts by reducing external sensory input and focusing inwardly without background noise. The brain's auditory cortex remains inactive for longer periods. This quiet phase encourages cross-communication between neural networks not usually connected by sound processing. The result may be unexpected insights or heightened creativity as mental energy redirects. Silence interrupts routine auditory processing, allowing the brain to explore less dominant circuits and potentially gain new perspectives from the stillness. During ambient silence, certain brain regions maintain a low-level, constant activity pattern as the mind rests. This steady state supports background memory consolidation and emotional regulation. It provides a stable framework in which the brain can perform maintenance tasks without interruption. The brain sees ambient, quiet spaces as safe zones where it can calmly work without the need to respond to sudden auditory cues. Social silence can trigger a brief period of heightened brainwave frequencies, often gamma waves related to information processing. The pause in conversation demands the brain assess social dynamics quickly. It manages the unpredictability of silence, balancing anticipation with relaxation. The sensation can either break tension or add to it, depending on individual experiences and cultural norms surrounding communication patterns. The absence of sound during absolute silence challenges the brain's sensory expectations. This lack of external input may provoke mild cognitive dissonance as the brain seeks stimuli. Some experience an increased awareness of internal dialogue, while others notice subtle environmental vibrations previously unnoticed. Adaptive processes recalibrate sensory thresholds to maintain stability and prevent overstimulation from internal or imagined noises. When ambient silence fills a room, oxygen consumption in certain brain regions adjusts to reduced sensory demand. The brain conserves energy by shifting from active auditory processing to a more dormant mode. This efficiency supports overall cognitive clarity and allows focus to turn to other senses such as vision or proprioception. The interaction between quiet surroundings and brain metabolism fosters a relaxed but alert state. During social silence, the brain makes quick judgments about others' intentions and emotions. This occurs through enhanced activity in the prefrontal cortex, which supports reasoning and social cognition. The pause in dialogue acts as a moment for the brain to update social context, predicting likely next steps in interaction. Whether the silence feels safe or uneasy depends largely on these unconscious evaluations. Absolute silence affects brain chemistry by influencing neurotransmitter levels linked to mood and arousal. For example, reduced sensory input can boost dopamine production tied to focus and pleasure. Other chemicals associated with stress and anxiety may decline in response to the minimal external disruption. These biochemical changes contribute to the unique sensation experienced when true quiet replaces typical everyday noise. In ambient silence, the brain's attentional networks cycle gently between vigilance and rest. This balance prevents overload and sustains extended periods of calm alertness. The rhythmic, quiet outer environment supports neural rhythms that maintain cognitive stability. Its regular pattern reduces the chance of distraction, helping the mind maintain an efficient wakeful state without requiring active processing of every small sound. Social silence can serve as a reset in conversational flow, allowing the brain to pause and reorganize thoughts. This brief sound gap provides mental space for reflection or emotional adjustment. Brain areas responsible for language and memory become lightly engaged, preparing for resumed communication. The dynamic nature of these silent moments enhances social bonding and nuanced understanding despite the temporary absence of speech. Absolute silence intensifies the brain's sensitivity to internal rhythms such as pulse and breathing. It may increase awareness of subtle bodily sensations that normally go unnoticed. This effect results from heightened connectivity between sensory and autonomic brain centers during extended quiet. The mind can become more attuned to physical states, potentially supporting relaxation or revealing previously hidden discomforts. When ambient silence is present, the brain's default mode network remains active, supporting spontaneous thought and creativity. This network operates quietly in the background, weaving memories and ideas without external interference. The steady auditory environment provides conditions for this mental wandering. It allows a gentle flow of consciousness that can promote problem solving and restorative mental activity while the surroundings stay calm. Social silence often affects heart rate variability, reflecting changes in the autonomic nervous system. Moments of quiet engagement during conversation pauses can lead to slower, more rhythmic breathing. This physiological adjustment correlates with alterations in brain activity, calming emotional centers and fostering a sense of shared presence. The body and brain coordinate in response to silent interactions among people. True silence encourages a unique synchronization of brain waves, shifting dominance from beta waves of active thought to alpha waves connected to relaxation. This shift fosters a mental environment conducive to rest and restoration. The absence of external noise removes competing stimuli, allowing the brain to enter states normally associated with meditation or light sleep, deepening the experience of calm awareness. Ambient silence supports the regulation of cortisol, a hormone involved in stress response. Lower background noise levels correlate with reduced cortisol secretion, leading to diminished feelings of tension. This physiological benefit shows how subtle changes in sound environments can influence stress management. The calming effect of quiet spaces prepares the brain and body for enhanced recovery and balance throughout waking hours. During social silence, the brain also engages the temporoparietal junction, a region tied to empathy and perspective taking. This activation helps interpret unspoken messages and understand another's state of mind. It turns moments of muteness into opportunities for deeper connection. The silent exchanges carry emotional meaning beyond words, revealing how brain activity supports complex social interactions even without conversation. Absolute silence can heighten the brain's ability to detect faint sensory signals, such as a slight breeze or distant footsteps. This sensitivity results from increased neural gain, where brain circuits amplify weak inputs. Prolonged quiet sharpens sensory discrimination, but may also lead to hyperawareness or discomfort in some individuals, highlighting the brain's fine balance between sensitivity and tolerance during stillness. In ambient silence, physicochemical brain balance stabilizes as neurotransmitter systems slow down auditory signaling pathways. This slowdown calms excitatory neurons in auditory cortex, reducing internal noise and creating a clean slate for processing new information. Such neurochemical adjustments help maintain focus and mental clarity by preventing sensory overload caused by excessive background noise in daily environments. Social silence triggers increased connectivity between language centers and limbic brain areas. This coordination integrates emotional context with verbal processing. Even when speech is absent, the brain prepares to decode feelings behind conversations, adapting dynamically to silent intervals. These neural connections deepen interpersonal understanding and support communication through subtle expressions beyond spoken words. Silence can extend the sense of time. Without constant noise, moments seem longer, more textured. The mind measures durations differently when quiet, noticing intervals it would otherwise miss. This subtle shift sometimes causes minutes to feel stretched, as awareness focuses inward rather than on external distractions. Such an altered pace influences perception deeply, revealing time's elastic nature in stillness. In empty spaces, silence sharpens the awareness of surroundings. The absence of sound highlights distance, size, and boundaries, making spatial perception more vivid. Rooms and open areas gain a new dimension as the brain notes echoes or the lack thereof. These quiet environments invite attention to form and emptiness, subtly changing how space is experienced from moment to moment. Now let's dive in to examine how silence subtly transforms sensing time and space. As distractions vanish, the brain shifts to internal signals, enhancing focus on thoughts and feelings. This change alters emotional responses, often calming or sometimes unsettling, depending on prior associations. The quiet reveals dimensions of awareness that rarely surface during everyday noise-filled moments. allowing deeper observation of inner states. When silence surrounds, the brain places less weight on external stimuli. Neural activity involved in filtering sounds reduces, freeing cognitive resources to assess the environment differently. This shift often increases mindfulness of bodily sensations and mental states. The contrast between noise and quiet alters emotional tone, facilitating reflective thought or heightened alertness to subtle changes within and around us. Periods without sound influence emotional processing by allowing feelings space to emerge undisturbed. Without competing auditory input, emotional signals can become clearer, revealing either calm or tension below the surface. This openness shapes mood in subtle ways, sometimes bringing peace, or when the mind dwells on worries, a sense of unease. Silence guides the mind toward deeper emotional insights by reducing noise interference. The sensation of self shifts during sustained silence. With fewer external distractions, awareness often turns inward, intensifying self-reflection. This inward turn can heighten sensitivity to thoughts and sensations usually ignored. The experience may lead to clearer understanding of one's mental landscape, or create a paradoxical feeling of dissolving identity as conventional markers of self fade in quiet spaces. Cognitive processing adapts to quiet environments by allocating attention differently. Without sound demands, the brain enhances activity related to imagination, memory recall, and internal dialogue. This redistribution can stimulate creativity or rumination, depending on the individual's mindset. Silence acts as a backdrop that shifts mental focus from external events to internal narratives, affecting how thoughts flow and evolve over time. In silent surroundings, subtle sounds become more noticeable, even those normally ignored. Heartbeats, breath, and slight bodily movements come to the forefront of perception. These faint noises contribute to a complex inner soundscape, guiding awareness toward physical presence. The enhanced sensitivity to minimal stimuli influences how space and self are understood, making the boundary between inside and outside more fluid and alive. Emotional responses to silence vary across individuals. For many, the absence of continuous noise lowers stress and creates a sense of safety. For others, it may provoke discomfort or heighten alertness due to unfamiliarity or association with solitude. The brain's expectations and past experiences shape the emotional coloring of silence, revealing how personal history influences reactions to quiet environments and time spent alone. Quiet moments can adjust the perception of visual details. When sound does not compete for attention, the brain often allocates more resources to visual processing. Colors, shapes, and movements gain clarity, and the eye may linger longer on objects. This amplification of sight adds richness to the experience of space, making visual impressions sharper and more defined during times of silence. Neural networks involved in sensory integration respond to silence by rebalancing input priority. Sounds typically dominate sensory processing, but when muted, other senses temporarily increase activity to maintain environmental awareness. This sensory shift contributes to altered perception of surroundings and time, encouraging deeper focus on tactile, visual, and proprioceptive information, and influencing overall mental states in quiet conditions. Self-awareness can deepen in silence as mental clutter reduces. The brain often quiets habitual thoughts and external demands, allowing moments of stillness within the mind. These pauses create opportunity for noticing subtle emotions or physical sensations usually overlooked. Such heightened self-contact can foster insight, but may also challenge comfort zones by exposing layers of unconscious material seldom addressed during busier times. Longer exposure to silence can enhance metacognitive abilities, allowing one to observe their own thoughts and feeling patterns more clearly. By cutting out external noise, the brain can separate meta-awareness from reactive thinking. This clarity supports improved emotional regulation and problem-solving skills. These changes often emerge gradually, becoming more noticeable with consistent practice or extended quiet intervals away from distractions. Time perception in silence sometimes becomes nonlinear. Without external cues, the mind's usual temporal markers dissolve, and moments blend indistinctly. This effect can cause disorientation or a peaceful surrender to the present. The brain's internal clock adjusts differently when ambient sound is absent, showing an intricate relationship between environmental stimuli and how time is mentally constructed and experienced. Consciously attending to silence requires a quiet mind, but it also reveals patterns of thought that often go unnoticed. When attention is focused inward, habitual mental loops become clear, offering chances to redirect or release them. This process shifts not only awareness, but emotional tone, contributing to calm or tension, depending on how these patterns are recognized and addressed during silence. Spatial awareness in quiet places strengthens through attentive observation of subtle environmental cues. The brain registers small temperature changes, air movement, or faint light shifts more easily when sound is absent. These sensory details, normally lost in noise, become foregrounded signals that shape how space is mentally mapped. The result is an enhanced connection between body, environment, and perception during silent moments. Inner dialogue adapts in silent settings, often slowing and becoming more deliberate. The reduced external distraction allows thought to flow with less urgency, creating space for reflection. This change can promote problem solving or creative insight, depending on current focus. Silence functions not just as absence of noise, but as a structure that influences the rhythm and quality of mental processes quietly unfolding. Periods of silence affect memory recall by decreasing sensory competition. Without other stimuli competing for attention, stored details surface more easily. This effect can enhance clarity when reflecting on past experiences or facts. Such improved access to memories contributes to a deeper sense of continuity and identity, showing how quiet conditions help link the present mind with previous moments through clearer recollection. The brain's default mode network, active when resting or introspecting, responds uniquely to silence periods. Reduced sensory input allows this network to engage more fully, facilitating self-referential thought and mental construction of personal narratives. These moments help organize memories and integrate experiences, shaping how the self is perceived in a continuous flow from past to present. In silence, even minor shifts in attention can alter emotional tone. A moment focused on calm breathing tends to reduce anxiety, while drifting toward worries might increase tension. The brain's sensitivity amplifies the effect of small mental habits. Understanding this dynamic reveals how quiet moments influence mood through subtle redirection of thought, highlighting the fragile balance of emotional states in absence of noise. Shifts in perception during silence often involve increased awareness of internal body states. Heart rate, muscle tension, and breath patterns come into focus. These sensations guide emotional processing as the brain integrates physical feedback into feelings. The connection between body signals and mental states becomes more obvious, allowing a clearer sense of well-being to emerge or highlighting discomfort that might otherwise be ignored. When external sound fades, the boundaries between self and environment blur slightly. Without noise dividing inside and outside, senses merge and perception becomes more holistic. This blending can create a sense of unity or loss of separation, altering conventional understanding of space and identity. The brain adapts to this altered sensory landscape by reinterpreting cues about where the self ends and surroundings begin. Emotional regulation benefits from silence through lowered sensory load and cognitive demand. The brain can allocate more resources to calming circuits, reducing stress hormone activity. Resulting changes promote relaxation and clearer thinking. These effects often require intentional conditions or quiet moments sustained long enough to influence biochemical pathways that support emotional balance and mental clarity over time. Silence acts as a subtle agent shifting perception toward internal and external awareness simultaneously. The stillness uncovers hidden layers of experience that noise often conceals. Through this quiet lens, time, space, and self-awareness weave together, forming a complex and fluid consciousness. The process reveals how deeply intertwined sensory inputs and mental states are, influencing daily life in ways easily overlooked amid sound. A profound stillness opens space in the mind where distractions dissolve quietly. In moments without any sound, awareness sharpens and perceptions settle. Clarity appears not as noise, but as a calm, awake state. The mind, unburdened by chatter, can gently observe its own thoughts with new softness and precision, feeling the present more fully and without interruption. Insights often arise when the brain is released from constant stimulation. Silence allows stillness within neural pathways, encouraging connections that might remain hidden otherwise. This mental pause invites creativity, letting fresh ideas come forward naturally. During these quiet intervals, the mind refreshes itself like a clear sky emerging after rain, restoring energy and a sense of possibility without any pressure. Now let's dive in with the experience of pure presence that arises in the absence of sound. When noise fades away completely, the inner world opens up to observe subtle rhythms of thought and breath. Awareness expands gently, settling like a pond free of ripples. This calm, empty space in consciousness creates room for silent insight and a deep sense of mental openness. Thoughts that normally compete begin to pause or drift aside. The usual mental clutter gives way to a quiet clarity where subtle feelings become more noticeable. The brain experiences a reset, allowing fresh perspectives to emerge without distraction. This mental quiet is not void, but a fertile ground where awareness rests evenly and clearly on what is present. Nothing more, nothing less. During soundless moments, attention becomes soft and receptive rather than focused and tense. This relaxation of focus smooths mental activity, revealing sensations and quiet thoughts that often go unnoticed. Such occasions foster a gentle observation, inviting understanding to arise without judgment. Quiet like this nurtures a steady presence, unshaken by the usual flurry of external or internal noise. The absence of sound deepens the experience of being fully here in this moment. As the brain waits without expectation, a gentle alertness appears. Some find that silence allows a sense of space to widen around thoughts, creating distance from habitual patterns. In this calm state, awareness can expand freely, opening new pathways toward insight and clear perception. Untouched by distraction or demand, mental clarity in silence can feel like a light that does not glare, but but simply illuminates evenly. Problems that felt tangled become simpler when viewed in this quiet frame. The mind's usual urgency lessens, permitting gentle reflection that is both sharp and soft. This fresh clarity often arrives quietly, as a natural part of settling into stillness without effort or strain. Silence creates a bridge between thought and rest, a peaceful interlude that balances mental activity and calm. This balance lets the brain recharge by reducing noise and distraction. Moments free from sound encourage the mind to release tension and open to subtle shifts in awareness. The resulting clarity can bring unexpected understanding, like a quiet clearing in a dense forest of thoughts. When the mind is held in quiet, it often experiences a freedom from the usual pull of distractions. This freedom feels like a pause in the ongoing stream of sensory input, allowing reflection to arise naturally without interruptions. The brain can simply observe itself, leading to moments of insight that feel both effortless and clear, as if ideas float gently to the surface. Sensory silence influences not only mind, but body, slowing internal rhythms in subtle ways. Heartbeat, breath, and even muscle tension ease, supporting a state of balance and ease. This relaxed physiology encourages mental space where thoughts can soften and open. The resulting calm informs a clear mental state, an alert restfulness that nurtures both peace and quiet attention. Quiet moments strengthen the natural ability to focus without pressure. As external and internal noise drops away, concentration finds a softer, less effortful rhythm. This state allows more spacious thought, where ideas flow with ease rather than strain. Quiet often invites the mind to rest into presence, abandoning urgency and replacing it with steady but gentle awareness. As sound disappears, the mind sometimes touches a state of simple being rather than constant doing. In this presence, thinking slows naturally, creating space for deeper reflections or gentle awareness of sensations. The shift invites a balanced calm where mental activity still exists, but without the usual rush. This steady quiet offers a doorway to restfulness alongside clear understanding. In silence, complex mental objects lose their definition and weight. Ideas no longer press as strongly, giving way to softness. This mental lightness can create fertile ground for inspiration, as thoughts float freely without structure or demand. The stillness carries an openness that encourages fresh perspectives and a less cluttered, more spacious internal landscape. Within the calm, small details in the mind become clearer, like noticing a faint pattern against a plain background. Subtle shifts in feeling or thought emerge with ease. This can lead to moments of gentle insight that feel natural and effortless. This environment is a quiet container where deeper layers of awareness quietly surface without disturbance or stress. Mental activity in silence resembles waves settling after a storm. The brain returns steadily to a smoother surface, free from turbulent thoughts. This restoration of calm supports an open, expansive mindset. Within this quiet space, ideas may appear softly and clearly. As the mind rests in steady ease rather than agitation or distraction, silence encourages the mind to shift from reactive thinking toward a more observing state. This shift means thoughts are noticed without immediate response or judgment. In this patience, mental energy is preserved and directed more gently. The quiet allows moments of loose awareness that expand the mind's ability to hold space for itself peaceably and without rush. The brain values silence as a chance to recover from constant input. This recovery promotes mental restoration, allowing neurons to reset their activity. Such rest gives space for clearer cognition and renewed perspective. In these calm intervals, the mind can focus softly on subtle experiences rather than simply reacting to noise or distraction. Moments of hearing nothing highlight how sound influences perception and thought. Without any noise to interpret, the brain turns inward, observing its own processes more simply. This shift reduces complexity, making room for quiet reflection. The changing relationship with sound can soften mental tension and invite a balanced presence that supports gentle awareness and rest. Experiencing pure silence can seem like a rare gift to the mind, revealing a basic state of awareness often buried beneath noise. In this quiet, the brain encounters its own activity more clearly, free from external distraction. Such moments provide an unobstructed view inward, fostering a calm alertness that subtly refreshes mental clarity and depth. The mind's response to silence includes a shift in how time feels. Without sound's typical markers, moments stretch softly, inviting a slower sense of unfolding. This expanded time supports gentle contemplation and reduces mental pressure. Within this calm rhythm, subtle insights may appear more easily, carried gently on a smooth, unhurried current of attention. Awareness held in silence often feels like settled water, steady and undisturbed. This steadiness supports both rest and alertness simultaneously. The brain's receptivity expands, open to observing passing thoughts without clinging or pushing away. The quiet presence deepens gradually, bringing a peaceful quality that invites relaxation alongside clear mental seeing. Within quiet spaces, the mind sometimes discovers a natural balance between rest and wakefulness. This equilibrium is neither shallow nor strained. Instead, attention floats effortlessly, anchored in the present moment. This floating focus nurtures a sense of calm steadiness that encourages gentle mental openness free from urgency or distraction, and ready for peaceful rest. Silence can soften the usual mental chatter, helping thoughts become fewer and less urgent. This softening fosters a gentle mental environment where clarity grows naturally. The brain finds relief from constant activity and a simpler way to hold awareness. The resulting clarity is quiet yet present, a stillness that carries a subtle strength rather than emptiness. As stillness deepens, the mind moves toward a place of restful presence. The quietness becomes an invitation to settle fully and without resistance. Within this space, thinking eases and peace grows steadily. The unfolding calm offers a gentle transition toward sleep, where the brain and body rest harmoniously, carried by a stable and clear awareness of silence. Within the everyday rush, silence offers a rare chance to slow down and reconnect. Moments free from noise allow thoughts to settle naturally, revealing insights that get overlooked in the chaos. The stillness around opens space for calm reflection, moving gently away from distraction toward a steadier, quieter presence inside. In quiet spaces, the mind's activity shifts, becoming less cluttered. Patterns of thought simplify, creating room for deeper awareness. The absence of sound invites a form of mental clarity, where insights can arise without the interference of constant stimuli. This pause in external input encourages relaxation and opens the door for peaceful rest. The value found in silence is not only in stillness, but in the chance to experience awareness without urgency. When environments become less busy, the brain does not demand immediate reactions. Instead, it slowly disengages from high alertness, stepping into a more measured state where perception grows quieter, allowing calm acceptance of the present moment. Sometimes silence can seem unfamiliar, even disconcerting, when it reveals inner thoughts that usually stay hidden. The mind's quiet moments may uncover feelings or ideas waiting to be noticed. While these insights might feel uneasy at first, accepting them gradually leads to a more balanced perspective, where silence becomes a safe space for self-understanding. Regular exposure to silence acts like a reset for mental processes. Entering these calm intervals encourages circuits of rest within the brain to strengthen. As a result, sensory overload reduces, making everyday sounds less intrusive. Over time, this adjustment helps maintain equilibrium, gently supporting emotional steadiness throughout daily challenges. Quiet moments deepen the connection between sensing and thinking. With fewer distractions, every small sound or absence of noise gains significance. Awareness stretches to include subtle shifts in the environment and body. This heightened sensitivity fosters mindfulness, expanding the capacity to stay grounded and present even when external conditions change abruptly. Finding silence is not about isolating from the world, but about carving spaces where calm can emerge naturally. These intervals do not require complete absence of activity, but prioritize reducing intensity. Such pauses happen easily in daily life when attention shifts from noise to more gentle rhythms, inviting a sense of ease and clarity within the mind's landscape. During silent phases, the nervous system settles into a slower pace. Heart rate and breathing often align with this relaxed tempo, signaling a shift toward restoration. This physiological change supports deeper restfulness, encouraging a shift from reactive to receptive states of being, where awareness softens and the body finds balance in the stillness of quiet moments. As silence is embraced, sensory filters adapt to prioritize important information. The mind becomes selective, noticing what truly matters rather than every small stimulus. This filtering reduces cognitive load, preserving mental energy. The resulting efficiency promotes peaceful alertness, where calm observation replaces distraction, softening the divide between external world and inner experience. Periods of quietness allow the mind to weave together memory and imagination gently. Without competing noise, thoughts drift freely across time and place. These moments encourage creative connections and subtle problem solving, often unnoticed during busier periods. The moderate pace of thought in silence offers clarity by reducing the rush toward conclusions or immediate tasks. Attention in silence shifts toward subtle sensations, such as gentle temperature changes or distant sounds barely heard. Heightened perception during these times supports an expanded understanding of the environment. This calm receptivity balances mental stillness with sensory engagement, inviting peace without complete withdrawal, fostering a quiet awareness that welcomes the space between sounds. In the quiet, unspoken emotions may gently rise to the surface. The absence of distraction permits recognition of feelings otherwise obscured. By allowing them to exist without immediate response, emotional responses become less reactive and more reflective. This openness nurtures acceptance, providing a foundation for deeper emotional balance and gentle self-awareness. Stillness in the mind often promotes sleep readiness. When mental chatter decreases, the transition toward rest accelerates. Veiled thoughts ease their pace and awareness turns inward. This progression prepares the body to slow down naturally, encouraging a smooth passage from wakefulness to the calm. Restorative states that support healing and rejuvenation throughout the night. Periods of quietude enhance the brain's connection to internal rhythms. Cycles of alertness and rest become more apparent without constant external input. This heightened recognition helps regulate energy use across the day, contributing to consistent wakefulness and restorative sleep. The brain rewards these moments by reinforcing patterns that sustain overall well-being and mental clarity. The use of silence fosters resilience by reducing overstimulation. When noise diminishes, the nervous system gains space to recover from stress. This recovery supports sustained focus and emotional calm over time. The steady return to quiet intervals protects against burnout, helping cognitive resources replenish gently and reinforcing stability amid changing daily demands. In silent environments, time can feel less pressured and more fluid. The absence of regular interruptions invites a relaxed pace where thoughts flow steadily without rush or distraction. This temporal expansion allows moments to unfold naturally, encouraging deeper absorption in the present and diminishing urgency, often imposed by busy surroundings or digital interference. Experience grounds itself differently during quiet states. Without noise to direct attention outward, awareness turns steadily inward, exploring sensations, thoughts, and feelings with less haste. This inward focus supports calm concentration and a refined sense of presence. The stability found in these moments aids in developing patience and a soothing rhythm that balances the day's activity. Gentle breathing often becomes more noticeable during silence. The body's natural rhythms expand, filling pauses between breaths with longer, softer inhalations and exhalations. These slowed breath cycles contribute to reduced tension and a comforting sensation of ease. The breathing pattern aligns with relaxation cues, guiding the entire system toward a state that welcomes rest and calmness. Recognizing silence as part of daily life transforms its meaning from absence to presence. Quiet no longer stands as empty space, but as an integral part of mental and emotional balance. This shift in perspective allows silence to coexist naturally alongside activity, weaving calm into the fabric of everyday experience without forcing separation or withdrawal from the world. The shifting focus between silence and sound enhances overall awareness. Alternating attention helps maintain engagement with surroundings while preserving moments of rest. This ebb and flow promotes mental flexibility, encouraging adaptation without overwhelm. Balanced exposure to both quiet and noise supports a healthy cognitive environment that nurtures both productivity and relaxation. In quiet moments, the brain's connections regroup and consolidate learning. Reduced external stimuli improve memory processing, allowing new information to settle securely. This consolidation underlies mental sharpness and emotional stability, both vital for resilience. Silence thus acts indirectly as a foundation for ongoing cognitive health and the ability to handle complex tasks with steadiness and calm. subtle shifts in posture become clearer in silence. Attention turns to how the body feels against surfaces and in space. This somatic awareness encourages gentle adjustments that release tension and support comfort. By tuning into these physical cues, the body naturally finds alignment and relaxation without effort, promoting sensations that prepare for restful states and healing. The mind's internal rhythms align more closely with the body's energy cycles during quiet times. When distractions fade, the flow between mental focus and physical sensation becomes smoother. This unification creates a balanced experience where restfulness integrates with wakefulness. Such harmony encourages calm transitions between activity and repose, supporting overall vitality. Silence ultimately invites a gentle pace that encourages acceptance and ease. The quiet provides permission to slow down and simply be present without expectation. As awareness softens into this calm, restful state, the mind and body gradually surrender to peacefulness. This effortless release fosters a natural readiness for rest, where sleep can arrive gently and without resistance.